And I had so much fun with this doodling thing. And if you saw on the blog, I put up a video on this on how to do these little borders. It was a video that this young lady had done, and it's really cool. It's kind of a nice way to kind of build on doodling. But I went a little farther because that's just kind of what I like to do. And I thought it would be fun to create borders using a little watercolor wash first. So I know I didn't mention it in the description, but if you have a chance, go grab some watercolors. And if you have,
Sorry, I'll be right back.
no, it's okay. If you have also some washi tape, that would be great, or masking tape, that would be awesome. That's the only thing that I didn't mention because I just came up with this last night. That's probably why I have that ocular migraine. But it's so much fun to create doodles this way. So so what we have is I have mine in a journal, but you can also use, if you're going to do doodling without, on plain paper, that's fine too. But I did get some hot press watercolor paper, or if you have Bristol board or something a little heavier duty so that you can work with the watercolor. I'll start with the watercolor only because it gives us a little time to dry, for it to dry. So I'm going to just take my next page and show you how I did this. So all I did was I took masking tape or your washi tape, and you're going to create a border. Okay, so I'm just going to take the tape and right on the edge of my journal or your paper, however you do it, just put some tape on the edges all the way around for all the 4 edges of your paper. And just kind of, get it all just an even border. You don't have to measure. This is the reason I came up with this is because I was using a ruler before, and I will show you the way to do it with the ruler. But what I liked about this is it was a lot quicker and a lot more fun. And I didn't have to measure anything. And that's what I liked about it. So you can now take I'm just using a different width, but I'm just going to create these little horizontal sections here, long rectangles, by just kind of going down my page, masking off. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but just give yourself it's about a 3/4 inch width, and the length is, the length of your journal page or your paper. And this gives you some places to doodle. That's all we're doing, is we're giving ourselves places to doodle. And I have here, of course, I'm kind of blind from my little ocular activity. So I'm going to remove that and add another one. There we are. So now I've got these places to do some watercolors. And I'm going to take my watercolors, and I'm not going to put a lot of color. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. It's basically a very pale wash and with not a lot of water. So I'm just going to use my watercolors, and it's kind of fun right now to play with your watercolor and seeing how they work together. So I'm just going to put a little bit of whatever color this is. It looks like a purple, and I'm just going to do a very, very light wash and not much. I'll mix it with another color just to see. It's very pale. You can see it's just very, very, very pale. So you can see I've got a little pink wash going there, and then I can just going to pick up some color and do a little blue toned wash and maybe add another color just to see how my colors work together. But very, very dry brush. It's not really wet. I don't have a lot of water on this, and I don't want to have it soaking wet, so that you could do this with thinner papers. I'm just going to try this little orange color. That's pretty, like a coral color. And maybe add a little yellow just to see how that looks. So just a very dry, very pale washes. And just kind of do that through the whole thing. You can do this with all the same color, or like I'm doing, try different color combinations just to see how they work. And this is this is just a way to basically you're getting yourself a place to doodle. Plus, not only that, you're getting a beautiful background that you wouldn't have otherwise. So just trying different colors. Try this purple again, a different purple. And just kind of, you can even just go through the whole thing like this, just go, you could even do a random kind of wash all the way across. But this is just a fun way to try different colors. And now that is it. I'm going to let that sit. And there's not much color there. You can see it's very, very pale, but it will give me a place to doodle. So that, with that being drying, I'm going to set that aside. It'll dry fairly quickly because there's not much water there. And I'm going to go ahead and show you the ruler thing, how we're going to do it with the rulers. Okay, so now we have a piece of paper. It could be any type. It doesn't matter what kind of paper you have. And if you have a ruler like this, I love this. It's a clear one. It's really cute. This one says, life's special moments are measured 1 inch at a time. I thought that was cool. What you want to do is do the same thing. You're going to create a strip of borders. So if you want to do a border that just goes all the way around your card, let's say you're doing a greeting card, you could do it by just going around. Like here, I'm going to just take my pencil, and it's good to have a pencil because pencils are a way to give you, a nice light, and just very lightly make a line. And you can go all the way around your card. If you want, you can go all the way around to make a border. So if you were doing this to make a card, you could just start your doodling on that. But like, I think it's fun to just practice different doodle shapes and marks. So this is why we're going to do several lines or several. So we've got, you can see that pale, it's pale, but it's there. Now I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to make some horizontal lines. And this is so I can practice my shapes or my doodling. And the way I do that is I'm just taking my ruler and I'm just going to go all the way down the page very lightly with my pencil. And this ruler is great because you can make really perfect lines because you can just follow this see-through. You can see what you did before and you can follow your lines previously, and then your lines won't get wonky, which is really nice. I think this ruler is made by, I'm trying to see who's, it's made by, I don't even know, creativeimpressions.com. So I don't know if they're still around. I've probably had this ruler for quite some time. You can also do however you want to do it. You can skip a few, make wider areas for doodling. However you want to do it, just create some lines so that you can make shapes inside. I'm just going to go down, maybe do one more line. So this on its own will be a really interesting piece, very geometric. There we go. So now I have basically a grid that I've created. And I'm going to use my pencil to make the shapes as well. And if you want to use a pen to make your shapes, that's fine. What I like to do is when I'm certainly practicing or trying, I like to have the pencil marks, and then I can always use an eraser after I've inked it in. I can always use the eraser, and that will take away my pencil marks. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create, and I'm just going to do my little, in pencil, I'm going to do shapes, just kind of the stroke that we're going to be doing will be on the left side, and then we'll practice it along this horizontal area. And the way I like to do this is I'm going to divide, I'm just going to make a little dot right at the top of my first thing, right in the middle, just sort of eyeball it. There's a dot right here. And then I'm going to take that dot and I'm going to divide, just basically put another dot in between those two. So I've got 4 sections now. I've got 4 little dots. And then I'm going to take that and divide that again. They're not perfect, but it's sort of I'm just trying to divide this into sections so I can kind of visually see where I need to make my marks. So now I've got these dots and I can put them down the whole thing. And if you want to do it with a ruler, that's fine. But you're just doing these little dots as a way to kind of visually, it's a visual guide. It's kind of like a calligraphy grid, except this is a doodling grid. I'm just going to take these little dots and take them and just follow through the whole thing. This is the more tedious part, but it's actually mindful as well. I'm just going to go here and make these little dots all down the page. And they're very small, they're very pale, they're nothing, we're not going to keep that. That's all going to be gone, but it will give you a nice guide. Just keep going. In fact, I probably won't, might as well finish it. Let's do this together. I was going to say I would shorten this normally and proceed to the next step, but then we wouldn't be able to finish our designs. So we'll just go through this and make your dots. And one more section. Okay, now we've got it. So I'm just going to go through, let's see, got that. Okay, so now if you see, we've got basically a grid with all these little dots. And that in itself is a mindful activity. We are not in a rush. We're not, this is not something we're going to, be knock out in 5 minutes. This is something that is going to help you relax. It'll help focus your concentration. It will give you just a lot of different benefits for doing this. So let's make a little pencil in this on the left side, not inside the grid, but on the border. We're going to make a little pencil mark. I'm going to make, I'll do it with a pen so you can see it easy, much easier. Okay, so I'm going to make an upside down V on this one. And then I'm going to make a U, but for you guys, please do your pencil because you'll want to erase that later. But I'm just doing the pen just to show you. I'm going to do an upside down U. I'm going to kind of do like a different shape. It's kind of a, I don't know what that would be called, but just a different shape. Try different. This shape is, I guess I would call this I don't know, a curved V upside down. And then I'm going to do a kind of an arc with a straight line down in the next line. And then I'm going to do an X in this, on this line. I'm going to skip this middle one, and I'm going to do an O, or a round shape. It doesn't have to be an O, but just a round shape. And then I'm going to do a kind of just lines going down, maybe 3 lines on the next line. And then I'm going to do a little M, like a little cute curvy M. And then I'm going to do the last one will be a wiggle, kind of a curve. So what these are just the basic shapes I'm going to repeat in this section over here. You can do this in pencil, or if you do it in pencil, then you can erase and in ink afterwards. But I'm going to do it in ink so you can see. So what I'm doing is I'm going to make a V, an upside down V, in between my little marks here. So I'm just going to start, and really the best way to do it, if you take a diagonal line and just go from one dot to the other. Let's see, I'm just going to go along and follow just kind of from dot to dot. I'm creating, and I can see that nothing is perfect, but it's all going to be, this repetitiveness of it will really look pretty cool. Then I'm going to take this is actually totally not exact what I was going to do. So I'm going to do something different. Oh, Karen. All right, so now I'm going to do the V, but I'm going to take it and bring it to this side over here. So these are going to look a little different than what I had originally intended, but that's okay. So now I've got these little shapes going, and same thing, I'm going to take this and connect those dots. So basically I have kind of a X shape or plaid shape happening, and I'm going to build from there. But let's just do this one for now. We've got like a little sort of a plaid thing happening. And the next one is like this upside down U, and it's just an arc, and I'm just going to go an arch all the way from one dot to the other and just go and link them together all the way through this section here. And this helps to get your eye-hand coordination. It will, if you go slowly and mindfully, it's a very good exercise. And it's also great when you're on the phone talking to somebody. you can get some really interesting designs that way because you're not thinking so much. This next one, I'm just going to do a little kind of a shape that looks like, just like this. I'm going to repeat this shape over and over across the page. And if you don't want to do that shape, you can just pick any shape that you want and just go across the page with it. And now this one here, I love this one. I just make a straight line between each of my dots. And then I just do a curve all the way up from the left up to the right side. And this is just a really, I love this one. You can create so many designs with it. And then I'll do the X I already did over here. So I'm going to do the upside down V. And the way I should have done that before is I just create the upside down V between each of those dot shapes. So I've got a zigzag going on. And I'm using a Permawriter pen, not a Permawriter, it's a Micron. It's a 0.5. It's a nice kind of a medium tip pen, and it's an archival ink, and it's waterproof when if you were to re-wet it, it won't bleed. So I'm going to skip down and I'm going to make a circle or some kind of round shape in between my dots all the way across. And circles are an interesting shape to try to do. So that takes a lot of, mental, some concentration. And don't be worried if you can't get a perfect circle. It's all your beautiful marks are yours and they're beautiful. So with this little piece here, the lines, I'm going to take lines and go down. I'm just taking one line and going down between my dots, and then I'll build from there. You can just leave it like that, or I can add a second and a third in between each of these. And this is great to do if you're listening to some relaxing music. You could do this, and you'll find yourself just getting into a really peaceful zone. And we kind of all need that right now. So I've got this little loop, small little, looks like a little M. And I'm just going to do that in between. I'm going to make a little M in between each dot, like a little curvy shape going on. Just going to go in between. And those dots are helping me distance, create the correct distance between each section. Nothing's perfect, but it's kind of helping. And then the very last one is just a curvy line all the way through. Just create a curve going across. So now we have our building blocks. And I might leave this one as a place to do a text block. But here I want to show you, now we've had, I think now we've made these shapes, we set that aside, and now we have our watercolor that should be dry by now, I'm hoping. So we'll just remove the tape gently, and now you've got this really great area to do your shapes, just exactly like what we did in this last on the white paper. It's so satisfying to put masking tape and then remove it and see this really clean, crisp lines and the soft watercolor wash. It's just so pretty just by itself. And then we're just going to add to it. So that can create, there's your grid, just like what we had drawn, which was a little more tedious. But now we have a grid we've created with our colors. And it's much more interesting and fun. So we've got that. And I was going to show you, so this same thing, you would just do your marks. So you take your pencil, if you want to just divide, and I just go right on top. I just make an eyeball it, or I could do it with a ruler, but I prefer not. And just make my little dots in the middle. of my horizontal lines, and then divide those in half by putting a dot in between the ends and the middle on all of those. And you can just do these three, or you can make more, like we had done 8 sections. This right now, we're making 4 little sections, but I'm going to do it again, one right in between. So just making a nice little dot grid. I won't go through them all, but I'll do, because I'm going to show you these. So again, these little lines, like with which you had done with this, you can choose which ones you want to do. But I'm going to do circles on this first one. I'm going to make like actually maybe a circle in between these lines here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a circle and all the way across. Trying to keep them the same size. It's not exactly, I'm not using a template or anything, so my eye is just going to do what it's going to do, and my hand is going to do what it's going to do. But I've got a nice little line of circles here that I can build on. And on this one, I'm going to do the little arches. On the second one, I'm just going to take my little arches and I'm going to go between each of my dots. Actually, I think with this one, I kind of got a little, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make an M kind of thing, just something, and repeating the same thing twice, just keep going. So I've started something, so I'm going to just keep doing that. This is a great way to practice calligraphy skills. You know, if you want to just do just letters, that would be really great. I'm just going to let that go like that. And then I'm going to do another one that I didn't show you before. It's a really cool one. You take a curved line. Of course, you just basically make a curved line downward and then another curved line up. And then you take your second curved line and you find where your dots go, where this little section is. And I'm just going to bring it right to here. And then I'm going to bring this part up. So I'm just going to do this all the way across. Just different things. And if you're already someone who's done Zentangle before, you definitely can get a lot out of this. But if you've never done it, this is a good start. And just make up your own. If you find something you want to do, just create your own little doodles. Okay, so I've got that one. And let's see what else. I can do like little, on this one, I'm going to do, I've got to make my little lines in between here, or my little dots so I can see. I'm going to make little like rectangle shapes, maybe between each. So I'm going to just do kind of a rectangle in between my dots. And these are not perfect, but they're sort of, you know, they're kind of a good practice. Getting my pen moving, and it's probably good not to have a lot of coffee before you do this. And this is your foundation. You are going to be able to do all kinds of things now with these shapes. So I wanted to share with you as you build, like this one here. So I started out, and then you just keep building and you make more, you add and embellish, and you just keep working and you go sequentially. So that's really fun. So this one, I'll just go ahead and I'll start with a circle. Let's say I want to do lines across or like down like this. I'm just going to go in between each one. Just make a vertical line.
Can you go back and do a close-up of that page before?
Oh, yeah. This one?
Yes.
Now, let me get a little closer. I've got my camera. I'm just going to, oops. I'm going to bring it down a little bit so you can see a little better.
I'm sorry.
There we go. And now my camera is like really close, which is good because it needs to be, I have a very non-fancy, now can you, I might have to go, it's a little blurry, so I'm going to turn my camera off for a second. I have to go into this app, so to just take a second. I'll just do it where it'd be a second. I'm just going on the, got to do this thing. It's a weird there we are. I have to refocus it because it doesn't do an automatic focus, which is crazy. I'm going to fix that right now. So it does, now it's going to do autofocus. So it should work. There we are. Okay, there, that should be better. Okay, so now we're getting closer. So then you can also do like little, like using a different pen, like I used a white pen here. And this one I just, thicken the line in here. So I'm going to go and I'll keep working on this one. And I'll just kind of show you, I'll just work on this one only. But what's fun about it is as you work with your oops, I got a little bit funky there. So now I've got this, and then what I could do is I could decide, well, do I want to divide it more? Yeah, why not? Let's see, I'll just bring these across this way. And you just keep repeating the lines, and it becomes very peaceful. Now this one, I think I'm just going to do little circles inside the circles. And let your mind just kind of, don't really think too much about what you're doing. Just go, okay, I'm going to do this. But, not too much thinking, because you really have an automatic creative thing going on. It's sort of separate from your consciousness. So there's somebody coming in. Now, maybe this is the person that, all right. I'm going to let Kay in. Hi, Kay. All right. Welcome, Kay. And we're just getting, we've kind of gotten started, but we're glad you're here. So now I'm going to take, let's say I want to make a little curve. This is getting more into details of it, but I'm going to take my pen and just go using this as a grid. I'm going to go around that circle, kind of make some curved lines around it and just see what I can get. And now I see I've got a little interesting thing I didn't realize I was doing, but hey, this is the fun part of it. There we are. So I'm just kind of trying doodles that may or may not work. This one's kind of interesting. So I'll just go around, like, looks like it's just not making sense what I'm doing, but that's okay. Sometimes that's always the best kind. I'm going to go around. And what's great about it, let's say you go, oh, this isn't working, which this could be an interesting motif, and I'm just not seeing where it's going, but that's what's kind of the fun part, is I can always take a pen and just black it out, an area, let's say it's just not working. And I've done that many times where I'll just go, okay, this isn't working, so I'll just, color it in. And when you do that, if you color it in, I use a brush tip, which is great. It gives lots of coverage quickly if I wanted to do that. So, but I'm going to leave that for now. Just kind of play with it and see what happens. With this one, I'll just leave it. With this one, I'm going to just put a line down in between each of my curved arches. And then I can create some lines that go across. This would be fun. So really, it's if you go across your horizontal place, then you can kind of, it sort of creates a little horizon. And it just play with the lines and put little lines, smaller, thinner lines. This is the same, this pen is a 0.5, but if I wanted to take a 0.3 or a 1, I can get some interesting, more just details with a smaller pen tip. So I'm going across, and I've got 3 lines going across. And if I want to, now I'm going to go downwards and just see how that looks. Going right below and in between these here. I'm just creating new patterns. And some of them I may like and I may use again in other creations, and some I may not. It just depends. So this one here, I'm going to go around like this, kind of like creating a border around that this shape. Really, we're only this is just a foundation, and then you can spend hours just building and building. Like, I'll show you, not hours, but let's see, like in this one, this set here, you can see I started with this basic shape, and then here's one pattern, and here's another with the same shape, or it's the same shape, but you can see how these patterns repeat and how different things you can make with them. So you've got, you can see, so this is like now a catalog of designs that I could use for my borders. And if I, like in this one, I was able to do this with an envelope. So you can do this with, you can create envelopes, cards, and really fun things. Like here's the little simple circles with just little lines that go through. And you can get as ornate or as simple as you want to be. One thing I didn't show you that I like to do is leaves. So I'm going to show you on this one here. I'll just do it like this. So when you do like if you do your little wiggly line, just kind of a curve, and I like to just do little simple leaves going across. And that's a really simple motif that you can do. And you can make as complex or simple. You can put veins in the leaves, or you can leave them simple. This will practice your leaf shapes too. So you can do something like that. I'm trying to think of something else I could show you. So this one, I'm seeing that I kind of went a little wonky on that. So I'm going to show you how I cover that up. So I do think this would be a fun thing once it's filled in. But I'm going to take this. Now here's what I want to do with this one. I'm thinking I'm going to black this all out and just cover it up and have just the circles. So you can do all kinds of things. You can also take the white. There we go. I'm just going to go right across. You can take your white pen and make little dots. I'm just trying to keep this a little simpler than I've been making it. Maybe just leave the bottom with the curved lines. That would be kind of fun. But just the top, it's just to me, it's not relaxing to my eyes. And so I'm just going to put a solid color and see how that feels.
This is great. I apologize. I have to go.
It's all right, Mary. We'll see you next time. And
Okay, thank you. Bye. Thank y'all.
Take care. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
So we're just going to keep going across. And if you are new, like I think there's a new person, Kay, I haven't met you before, but we hope to meet you. Once I'm finished with this demo, I'm going to turn on my camera and we can share and talk a little bit. So hang in there. We'll love to meet you. So you can see now I have this little bottom going on here, and now I kind of see a direction it needs to go. So I've got this going in these two in this direction. So I think what I'll do is I'll take, this is a number 3. I'm going to use a number 5. Where's my 5? Okay. So now I could either go straight across, which I think would have been better, but since I started this curved line thing, I'm just going to continue it. Just kind of play with motifs, and some will work and some won't. That one might work. I think if I just do it. So now this will work. Now I see kind of something that makes sense. So having a symmetrical shape is much more fun. And I see that it didn't happen on that side, but that's okay. Now I kind of have an idea of, in the future, I would like to use this pattern. This is a fun pattern. I'd like to use that. So, there's just different ways that you can kind of explore pattern making and design. But you're also, it's all intended to be relaxing, to kind of spur some creative ideas. There we go. So I've got this pattern over here that I really like on this side. This just didn't start out so well. And if I want to, I can just now I can repeat those little patterns that I like, that little, this shape in the middle. So you can go as detailed or as simple as you want. I'm just going to keep building on that. You can also add the white. You can add gel pens with, if you have some metallic pens, those are really great. And what I like about this is a great journaling. These also can be used in your journals because these have, this is my journal. So in between the doodles, I can also write some journal ideas or thoughts or anything. Oops, I missed one here. One more line. There we are. So that's there. And then I can just keep going on this one as I was before. And just do it when just keep this by your phone, keep it by your, near your TV or wherever you're relaxing, at home, or if you're somewhere and you're not home, but you want something to do. This is a great, I'm just going to do another line here, just 3 lines, maybe really close together. I think this would be really fun around it, it could be a frame if you go all the way around. Like if I wanted to just do the one pattern all the way around on a border, I have a nice frame. So you can see kind of where we're at on that. See, so we're at, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I could show you. Is there anything, because I think pretty much you would just go on your own, and I'll show you this little sheet here, which kind of gives you, see how many motifs you can do and how,
Wow.
it can go on and on and on. So, and it's a great practice to be able to do this. Like this one, I really like where it's going, but and when I'm finished with it, I will probably write some things in between. And just it's a very fun exercise. It's very simple. This was, actually, this was this one. So this here is this. And what that is I just went, I just made a little loop, like a little teardrop shape. I just went like, repeated across. And then when I was finished with that, I just did a second and a third one like this. So that's how I was able to do that. And then I filled it in. And let's see what else would be a good one. You can also make little random circles. Let's say you have little, or even like with this one, you could create little small hatch lines across like this. You can see how it could just go on and on and on. And so what would be really nice and neat is at the end, when you've done you've done your doodles and you kind of finished a page, I would love to see if you post it or share it with me on my email. We can share it with everyone on our website, on the blog.